welcome to Red Zone DFS Week 15. Apologize for the voice. It's pure December colds going around,
Oh,
and back from the Dominican Republic, and I'm ready to get back into DFS. Jimmy is in the middle of an airport in Salt Lake, Utah, in a coffee shop. So we're
Salt Lake
just
City,
we're just
baby,
fucking
grinding,
riding the lightning tonight.
grinding. I got a late flight home, a little business trip, but we got to get it done, right? So here we are. We've got a interesting slate this week. I think we've got the Raiders putting up a 60 burger on the Chargers as we speak right now. I don't really know what's happening there.
Dude,
Um,
all I know
yeah,
is that as a Raider fan, I was like, look, I'm just going to live my whole life and I'm going to fucking put my kid in this with me that we're never going to see anything good happen with the Raiders. And they just put up the most points in franchise history. And this might as well have been the fucking Super Bowl. Like today was great. I'm in a great mood.
yeah. So it's pretty wild, but here, this is where we're at, right? So here we go.
It's going to be a chaotic week. That's for sure.
All right, Joe. So let's get it started off. Quarterbacks. Who do you
Yeah.
like?
I mean, at the top, I mean, I think it's a little bit weird, right? Because I feel like this game that's going to put up the most points has the two top quarterbacks on the slate, both over 8K between Josh Allen and Dak Prescott. So
Yeah.
I just want to start with these two. Like, obviously, like you're going to get involved in this game, but it's really hard to game stack this game. You're going to have to find some value if you're game stacking this at the top because it's pretty hard to build a lineup with these two teams.
So I really like Josh Allen. I mean, I think that he is probably the best play, and I actually think that they're going to pound the shit out of the Raiders or out of the Cowboys this week. I mean, I think that they're just going to go absolutely nuts on those guys. So it, I like paying up for him this week. I'm gonna get there basically any way possible. Um, I think that you can stack him a few different ways. I think that Gabe Davis is the ultimate 25
Mhm.
points or zero.
Yeah,
Just
like, and
it's
it's
just
really volatile this year. Like, I didn't think
oh
it could get
yeah.
more volatile. It's even more volatile.
It's gotten pretty rough this year. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't know it could get more volatile, but here we are. But yeah, I think that you just got to kind of get to there any way possible, right? So he's my guy. If we're going all the way up top, he's the one I much prefer. They're basically playing for their life. They have to win. They're just going to keep trying to run as much as possible. So Josh Allen, sign me up. He's my guy as well. If we're going up top, I'll force him in. I think there's enough value elsewhere where we can get to him pretty easily. Um, so yeah, who's your next guy that you like, Joe?
Yeah, I would say it's Patrick Mahomes, right? When you're looking at the NFL, when you look at DFS, and you look at kind of what happened last week, and I'll get to Kadarius Toney, but
Yeah,
like the Chiefs are a good team. They have good leadership. Like you can tell everyone's backing Tony. Everyone's getting Mahomes' back. And like, yeah, I think the whole world kind of turned on Mahomes after last week. And we're going to get him in a lower ownership. I know the Patriots defense isn't horrific or anything, but they're not a good football team. They're in line to have the second overall pick. I feel like this is kind of a statement game where Mahomes goes in and just absolutely lights the world on fire. And we really haven't seen it this year. And this could be a week where the team finally gets his back because he's obviously hit his breaking point with his wide receivers. He lost his shit at the end of that game. Does his team rally with him? You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I just feel like it's kind of one of those perfect weeks where Mahomes, very sneaky at 10 a.m., just lights the world on fire and just destroys the Patriots.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where I like it for tournaments because, like you said, the Patriots do have a decent defense. So, like, you know, it's not the greatest situation, especially on the road. I think the weather's actually going to be okay there, so like that's not a concern this week. But still, not the greatest situation ever. Um, but I really don't mind it. To be honest with you, I like it. I don't really have any interest in anyone else up there. My next guy I'm going to go to is I'm just going to go right back to Brock Purdy at 6,800.
Yeah.
They have so the nice thing is that, like, yes, the Niners have a big record, but they need to keep winning for the number one seed. So they're playing Arizona in the dome. I mean, I don't think that you can go wrong stacking up Brock with basically whoever you want to. If you want to do a full game set, like you could stack him with like three guys and it might work, right? So
Yeah, and I think Shanahan he's one of those coaches. He's kind of on a mission right now to put Purdy in the MVP race because of all the shit that people have talked about him. I think Purdy is Shanahan's guy. He got rid of Jimmy G for him, right? I mean, seventh round pick.
yeah,
It's kind of Shanahan's legacy to get Purdy an MVP. And the
definitely.
running right now is between Purdy and Dak.
Yep.
And I think Shanahan's going to do anything to get Purdy that MVP vote.
Yep.
So I'm with you. Purdy is probably my second favorite quarterback on the entire slate. So let's move
Yep.
below him. Kyler Murray, 6,400 and down. Let's go from him all the way to the bottom. Who are some guys that you're plucking here out of this?
I mean, there's two guys right there in Stafford and Love that I'm going to.
I agree on
Hardcore.
Stafford for sure.
Jordan Love, Tampa Bay's pass defense is absolutely terrible. Like it's just absolutely horrific, right? So they've actually been playing a little bit better as of late as well. They essentially have no running game, so it's going to have to be all Jordan Love. The Packers now, they still have an outside shot to make the wild card, so they kind of have to keep pushing there. So he's a guy I really like.
And I think Jordan Love is actually a viable option to just play him naked, right? Like there's not one go-to guy on that offense, right? And you can kind of put yourself in a bad spot. Like you could play him naked, right? He might get you 3-4 touchdowns and it's all the different guys. And that kind of screws you. So going naked, I think, is one of those weird situations where you can possibly do that in this game.
Yeah, I think that you can if you didn't love his options, I think you could actually go to Tucker Kraft at 3,000 to play him with him and just kind of figure it out from there. I like pairing just those two and then Rashad White with Tampa, and he's a guy that you know I like that situation right there. So that's kind of something I'm definitely going to get to when we're talking quarterbacks. So you said you like Stafford?
Yeah, Stafford's
probably
my
smash spot.
He's my number one, right? Like number one price point, potential, the whole thing. Smash spot at home. They're in playoff contention. You can say that Sean McVay is doing his best coaching job he's maybe ever done. And I think Cooper Kupp is just due to have one of those weeks and against a bad team. And I almost just want to drop out Nakua and just go Stafford, Kupp with Kyron Williams. And that is like my favorite stack I've built is those three guys together. I think the whole offense rallies on those three.
I think you can mix and match a little bit too. So like you can play like one with those. You can play one with like just Stafford, Williams, and Puka. I think you're okay to play one with all four of them together.
I like it.
It's something that not a lot of people are going to do, and there's enough value where you can do it. It gets a little pricey, but you punt with like let's say Buffalo defense at home, and then Tucker Kraft or like another punt tight end, and you can still get right around with all those guys in there. You can still have about $5,500 left per position, so you can certainly make it work.
Stafford's just too cheap.
He's way too cheap. Like, and their offense is so consolidated that it's like, like what are we talking about here? Like, I really like that situation overall.
And he's just playing well, and Washington's not. Right? It's very simple. Like one team's playing well, fighting for the playoffs. The other team's not playing well, and they've cashed in this season. So
I mean, Washington's just a really bad team. I mean, they're like
they traded away their two best players. So
yeah. So I mean, they're pretty terrible. Yeah.
All right, let's go to the garbage bin down here in the 5,000 range.
Honestly, man, like I don't know. Do you have anybody that like jumps out to you? I have one. It's really gross, but I mean, it's Will Levis.
Kinda for GPPs only. Let's be very, very clear on this. I kind of like Joe Flacco and pairing him with Amari Cooper. I just think there's an opportunity where Flacco. Like, look, Chicago's defense has been playing very well lately, but they're tricking people a little bit, right? And I think Cleveland and Flacco are playing really, really well. And I feel like there's a couple of deep balls in there to Amari Cooper. So
It's
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 weird.
it's
It's perfect for GPP.
I can't really fault you. Vinny did it last week, and it got there, right? Like
Mhm.
the rest, he didn't get all the pieces, but I mean, he did it last week, and it definitely got there. So like, I mean, I don't know. He's one that I thought about. I actually like the Will Levis
I do too.
against Texans. Texans are the ship is sinking a little bit here. Their playoff hopes are basically dead.
The
So
only thing that I don't like about playing Levis in this game is because I feel like this game flow is about to be absolute dog shit. I think Houston is going to try to run the ball, especially if Stroud doesn't play. Tennessee, Vrabel ball, he's
yeah,
going to try to run the ball with Derrick Henry late in the season. I just think this is a sludge fest, and I think we get like a one touchdown game from Levis, unfortunately. But he's playing really well. But
yeah,
I don't like the game.
that's fair. That's fair. I don't have any really interest in anybody else unless you do. We can move on to
No,
wide receiver or running backs.
yeah, let's move it on. Moving on
All right,
up. All
so
right.
we've got the obvious guy at the top. I don't think we need to talk about McCaffrey. We all know that McCaffrey is just an absolute fucking smash play.
Too
Get
cheap,
completely get
9,300.
that.
Again, guys, like at this point of last season, he was going for 11,000. Like he's just mispriced.
I
Or
don't
DraftKings had a
understand.
different algorithm they figured out. I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't get it. So yeah, I'm going to be playing a lot of McCaffrey. Let's put it that way.
he's averaging 3x a game. Average.
Yeah. Well, what else do you need?
So
And he hasn't had that great of games. Like he had
Mhm.
the 72-yard run, and then he was gassed at the beginning of the game, so they put Mason in, which that kind of sucks. He still got there, still got 3x. I know it's tough at 9,300, but like I mean, this is a game that he could go absolutely wild in, right? So, like,
Exactly.
if you do like Purdy, like, I almost kind of like just playing Purdy and McCaffrey and then just seeing
Hmm.
where it goes from there, right? Or
Yeah.
like Purdy, Caffrey, and like Kittle, I think is an interesting combination as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so who's your favorite guy, like, above from like 7,000 to 8,600?
Yeah. I feel like I want to play Kyron Williams in like every lineup, right? Like I'm going to
Yep.
have like 60% Kyron Williams. That offense is completely different when he's in there. I still
Yep.
feel like he flies under the radar. I mean, he's going to get ownership, but it's not going to be ridiculous. It's not going to be over the top. It's not going to kill you. And I think
No.
7,500 is too cheap. And I like him a lot more than Kamara this week.
Yeah, I mean, for me up here, it's Kyron Williams and it's Rashad White. Those are the two guys that I have interest in. I don't. Dolphins guys are both hurt, and the Jets' strength of their defense is their run defense.
Hmm.
Um, if I was going to pick one of the Dolphins guys, I'd probably pick Mostert. But yeah, it's going to be Williams and Rashad White and McCaffrey. If I'm paying up at running back, I'm going to have a pretty tight core when it comes to running back this week. Those are kind of just my guys, and I'm just going to roll with them.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, and then there's Derrick Henry at 6,900. It's that
Yeah,
time of year,
he's
right?
it. I still, but no, but he's getting priced up now,
But
and
he's had six touchdowns in his last three games, right? So
yeah,
like,
but he still only had like 20 points a game.
yeah,
Normally, when you're having
but
two touchdowns,
he's down to 7K, right? So it's like he's right at that 3x mark, and like again, this is Tractosito season, and there's that chance, right? Especially a Houston team that looks like the wheels might be starting to fall off a little bit.
I'm fading. I'm full fading him. I don't want anything to do with Derrick Henry.
No, that's fair. Okay, moving down. Love Bijan. I'm still waiting for the massive
Yeah,
Bijan week, and I think Carolina's defense is pretty decent, but their run defense is not. And Atlanta, all they do is run the ball. They don't want to pass. Last week was an anomaly,
no.
and I
Well,
think Bijan has
they
an
were forced
opportunity.
it. They were forced into it, right? So
Yeah,
like, there's nothing they could do, right?
yeah.
So they were forced into it. It's just kind of it is what it is at that point. Yeah, Bijan for me, and I've got really nobody else until like quite a bit further down
I
here.
agree. I had a really hard time with running backs this week going up top, and then down low, I'm still having kind of trouble.
Chuba, Chuba,
I
Chuba.
like Chuba, and I really
Seven,
think I need Pacheco to sit this week because I will play Jerick McKinnon in half my lineups if Pacheco
so
sits.
so Chuba 73% of snap share last week. He's gradually getting more and more and more. they kind of, I think they're at the point where they're like, look, let's just see what we have with this guy, and if we want to build around him for the future, great. We all know that Miles Sanders, it just isn't it, right? So you know, he's he's my guy down here, and honestly, outside of Chuba, I don't like I said, my running back core this week is going to be very, very tight. Um, if if Jerome Ford is ruled out, then I have some interest in Kareem Hunt at 4,900. I also
Mhm.
have some interest. We're talking about that Tennessee game in Tajay Spears at 4,800. It's a true timeshare now. Okay, like 100% true timeshare. And you've got Derrick Henry at 7,000, who's getting the goal line touches. But Tajay Spears got there on Monday night for us. So if you played him in
Yep.
that 2 game slate, he got 18 points, and at 30, at 47 or $4,800. I mean, that's more than fine, right? So I
Do,
mean,
do you have
that's
interest if Brian Robinson sits and going with Gibson on the other side of that Washington game?
yes, a
Yeah,
100%. But
because there's
Robinson's
no, I
got to be
mean,
out.
but are they going to give the other? Are they going to do like the same snap share? Is what I'm saying, right? Is that other guy the number 3 back because he does get touches,
No, yeah, but if Robinson's out, like he didn't practice again today,
and it's a
non-participant at
hamstring.
Thursday's practice,
So,
it's a hamstring. Second day in a row, didn't practice. I do have quite a bit of interest.
but this
If
motherfucker Chris Rodriguez 6 carries, 4 carries, 7 carries in the last 3 games.
Yeah, but all I care about is even Antonio Gibson's role forever has just been the passing role. Like that's just his deal, right?
Hmm.
So I'm just that's what I'm going after with him. That's what I want with him. Um, yeah, that's really my whole thinking behind it, Joe, is just like I want
Yeah.
his passing role in that game, and he's really the only Commanders player I have a ton of interest in. Um, but yeah, that's about
I
it
have
for
I have
me for
one I have
running
one
back.
other, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, and then
Okay.
just I just want to make sure I mention it's Jarek McKinnon. If Pacheco is out, McKinnon is their
Yep.
guy that they go to inside the 5 yard line for funky plays.
Okay.
McKinnon typically always scores at least once whenever the starting back is out.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
All right,
Uh,
wide receiver.
yep. Who do you
Finally,
like?
Tyreek Hill is priced where he should be, and possibly one of his hardest matchups he's ever been in. Are you playing Tyreek Hill? He's going for the MVP, and they got to secure the division, so it's not
Yeah.
like they're going light.
If he's hurt and if he plays, I think you got to try and play him. But I think it's one of those things where I think you talk about game flow. I think that could be kind of an ugly game,
Yeah,
right? So I don't know. I would much prefer to play Diggs and Cup for a whole hell of a lot less money. I don't think that his ceiling is that much higher than those two guys this week. Um, so yeah, I mean, those are the two guys. If I'm paying up, I'm going to Diggs and Cup, and I'm going to have a lot of them this week.
yeah, and I really like CD. I mean, honestly, I really don't feel like you can go wrong with those 3 guys. Even with
No,
Debo, I mean, they're all priced where they should be this week. They're all really hot right now. So I don't think you can go wrong. You just gotta go with your gut on those 4 guys.
yeah, 100%.
All right, moving
So
down, Waddle and down. Where's your head at here?
uh, I like Olave quite a bit at home if he plays. He was questionable all week last week and then played as well. Um, yeah, I think Olave is a guy that I have a lot of interest in. I don't think he's going to get a lot of ownership at 7,100. And then we talked about it. Amari Cooper, even if you don't play Flacco, he's just right at that like 5,800, 6,000. He got
Yep.
14 targets last week. Like, just keep playing him every single week, and you're going to be fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. And then I love DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, just the way he looked on Monday night, he was making catches of old. It was like, okay, this guy hasn't gone anywhere, right? It's more of Levis just figuring it out. So I think
Yeah.
Hopkins is lined up for at least 1 touchdown this week and a good like 8 catch game.
So going down a little bit, we get to maybe my favorite play of the entire wide receiver slate, which is Garrett Wilson.
Oh,
5,800, even with Zach Wilson last week. had 23 points, 9 catches on 13 targets. And guess who's been practicing all week this week?
A-Rod?
Aaron Rodgers.
Jesus Christ.
He's most likely going to play. Even if he doesn't play, and it's Zach Wilson, sign me up for that, right? So
Wait, is Aaron Rodgers available on DraftKings?
He should be, buddy.
He's $4,000.
Okay, I'm playing Aaron Rodgers. If he plays this week, I'm going to play Aaron Rodgers.
Dude, yeah, you have to.
A million percent I'm playing Aaron Rodgers if he plays this week.
Oh, that's amazing.
Dude, it's so good. But no, even I don't really care who plays quarterback for them this week. For me, I really like the situation that Rodgers is in, or that Wilson is in, excuse me. And he's
in your brain.
I just can't get him off my mind. So yeah, going down a little bit more. Who do you like in this like 5,000-ish range?
It gets tough, man. It's like I wanted to play some of these Washington guys on the other side of the Rams, but it's like throwing a dart with a blindfold on.
I think if you want to game stack the whole game and like play like 3 or 4 of the receivers, like I think you could play Antonio Gibson and then Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, I think Samuel's the one out of the 3 I want to play. It's obvious that McLaurin and Sam Howell like don't have a vibe. You know, they don't have that connect. It's not there. 100%. And I think both of them are fine players, but whatever between the two of them does not work. So
100%.
I mean, going down like Robert Woods is interesting. Just because he might be that red zone target at 4,200, you're really just looking for a guy to get 4 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown.
I think it's a Dortch game.
So I was on Dortch, but I think it's a Michael Wilson game because I think he's back this week.
But he's a big body guy.
But you're saving like $1,000 on him too.
Yeah, I get that, but the Niners play the big body receivers a lot better than they play the short, fast guys. And like Michael Wilson's a guy that he's come back off an injury. He may not play the whole time. So I'm expecting the Niners to kick their ass. So I think that like Dortch is going to excel in like the 3rd and 4th quarter.
Garbage time.
I don't know why this guy is so cheap, but Wan'Dale Robinson is currently operating as the de facto number 1 for the Giants. And he had fucking 17 points on 9 targets last game. Now, I think he's probably going to be pretty popular. I'm in the airport in a coffee shop right now, so I don't have my computer to look at some ownership. I think he's going to be pretty popular at 3,700. So, do with that what you will. But I think even if he's in like the 15 to 20% own range, I'm probably still going to play him just because they're playing at New Orleans. It's going to be inside. New Orleans sucks. Let's just be frank. And he's a guy that I don't mind getting to. Below that, I mean, I don't know, man.
I wouldn't say I love this, but just it would be an interesting play because the Patriots have every single receiver on the Q tag, and I think they're going to be playing from behind, and they're not going to be able to play the game they want to play, and it's Juju. Juju's starting to get a little bit more involved in the offense with Bailey Zappi. You could literally have every receiver on the Patriots that's hurt, including Juju, right? But I think he plays. And I think Juju is in that sneaky spot to get a few more catches than you'd expect just because I think they're going to get their ass beat by the Chiefs this week, and they're going to have to throw the ball.
One guy that I have played the last few weeks that has actually come through for me is Xavier Gibson on the Jets. Yeah. He had 8 points last week, 12 points, which for them, 12 points, that's 4x at 3,100, right? Yep. So if we're looking for 4 to 6x across our lineups, that gets you there. So, but I don't really have anybody outside of that. If you don't either, we can move on to tight end.
Tight end it is. Like I said, I'm not playing Kelsey by himself, but any Mahomes lineup I have is going to have Kelsey. I mean, again, I just think it's one of those weeks. It's a whomping week. So if you can afford it at 7,600, go for it. It is going to be tough because I don't like the receivers as we go down low. right? And the running backs I like better low. And it's just
Yeah.
it's going to be a complicated week. You're going to have to play some chess with your lineups this week
Yeah.
to get to where you want to go.
I like Kittle. I like Kittle
Me
and
too.
Purdy stacks. I love that Schultz is going to be back and 100% healthy. Stroud, I hope Stroud's back. If Stroud's not back, I think that Schultz is still fine with Davis Mills. He really did well with his tight ends last year. So I think he's fine there. I really, really, really like Ferguson against the Bills. The Bills' pass defense in the middle is very, very, very bad. They've given up some pretty big games to tight ends this year, and I think that a lot of people are going to go back to Njoku after the big spike week last week. I don't not like Njoku. I played him last week, but I think that if his ownership starts to spike, I'm more than happy to go to Schultz or Ferguson instead of him, or just below him to Komet as well in that Cleveland-Chicago game.
Yeah, definitely. And then honestly, my favorite tight end on the slate, just because it goes with the game stack I want, is Logan Thomas. I just think Thomas scores a touchdown this week. Right?
There you
Simple
go.
as that.
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy the other day about this. He's like, all right, what's like the strategy in DFS, right? I mean, there's 1,000 strategies. But in the end, you have to really predict who's going to score touchdowns, who's going to be a part of the game flow. You have to predict what's going to happen in the game. I think this Rams-Washington game goes big, and I think Logan Thomas scores a touchdown, and he gets 4 or 5 catches, and he gets you
I'm
there.
100% fine with that. I think that's a good one. Going down, we mentioned I think that Tucker Kraft is playable if you want to just like a cheap punt tight end to go with Jordan Love. I also like I played him a little bit. He didn't do great on Monday night, but Okonkwo, Chig, came to
favorite.
9 points. It's not nothing crazy. 9.6, but he did have 5 catches, only 46 yards. But if he gets into the end zone, I mean, I think that we're kind of in business there. But that's really it. I don't think that I'm going to need to go down that far a ton. I like Kraft a little bit better. That's kind of where I'm thinking of my tight ends.
Yeah. It's not overly sexy this week, but it's like there's 4 or 5 guys in there that you can rock pretty easy.
Just my first looking at it, this morning and then now, it's just I'm gonna have a pretty tight core this week, to be honest with you. So
all right, so defense. I want you to pick the defense that you just keep inserting in lineups naturally. Like, what defense do you have the most right now in your builds?
Bills.
What are their price?
2,400. Third cheapest at home.
Okay. What's the weather supposed to be like? Is it Buffalo weather?
I haven't even looked, to be honest with you. But Dak on the road versus Dak at home, 2 completely different people. Mm-hmm. He does absolutely weird, wild shit that he just doesn't do at home. I'm pulling up the weather right now for good old Buffalo.
Yeah, because if it's a bad weather game, I'm all in.
Right? So, all right, so let's see.
Talk about getting weird, Well, not like weird, but like this Dallas offense is like the highest scoring offense in the NFL over the Dolphins, right?
So rain showers in the morning will evolve into a more steady rain in the afternoon.
Okay.
So 70% chance of rainfall about 1/4 of an inch. So not like big time rain, but enough for it to be weird.
Yeah, I like it. Just a little sleek out there.
I mean, this is what I did last week with the Bears defense. Same exact price. They were $2,400. I literally had them in 78% of my lineups. They scored like 16 points because it was just a good situation, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just liked the situation. Them playing the Lions outside, not a good road team, not a good outside team. Dallas, not a good outside team, not a good road team. Going to play a very strong AFC opponent. I think that Dak is going to have to pass quite a bit. I think that they're going to try and take away CD. I mean, that's what I would do. So, I mean, outside of them, I don't really have a whole hell of a lot of interest. I think that you could make a case to play the Rams defense just because we think that game. But I think the Commanders are going to score quite a bit of points, right?
Yeah.
I don't love that.
Outside of the Bills, I would say my favorite defense this week is the New York Football Giants. And they're playing at the Saints. Listen to this, dude. They've had 12 turnovers in the last 3 weeks they've played games. Their
Wow.
team is just playing well. Dayball is a good coach. Everyone wrote him off at the beginning of this year. He's turned this team back around. They got Tommy DeVito at quarterback, and they're playing good ball, and this team actually believes. You have Thibodeau at the end, like really playing well, right?
Yeah.
Like earning himself that after rookie contract. Derek Carr's team has fucking quit on him. He's got offensive linemen screaming at him after plays, right?
It's
Like
bad.
they don't care. They're now looking back at the tape of how many times he gets hit and his offensive line is not coming to help him up after plays. Like his team's not playing for him. Alvin Kamara has not openly talked shit about what's going on there, but they essentially said like, "Oh, what's it like having Derek Carr back this week?" And Kamara just went like, "Well, he is our starting quarterback." Like Michael Thomas faked another injury. He's like, "I'm not doing this shit." Like
Well,
again,
we knew that was coming. He's
totally.
played entirely too much.
And look,
So.
Derek Carr, he's just a really bad red zone quarterback, right?
Yeah.
I think they hold him to low points, like under 16, 17 points this week. And hopefully they get 3 turnovers, 3 sacks, interception, and they get us there with a 12 to 15 point game on defense. So I think it's Bills Giants flipping back and forth there. So
The only other defense I do like your Giants call. I hadn't thought of that one, but I like your reasoning behind it. Is the Chiefs? If I'm going to pay up, I'm going to go up to the Chiefs. Like you said, they're pretty pissed off. I mean, Bailey Zappi. I mean, people might think he's the next Tom Brady. I got newsflash for you, folks. He's absolutely not. So I'm more than happy to play some Kansas City Chiefs.
You know what's weird? I didn't even notice this because everyone's like, dude, the Chiefs defense has played really well this year, which they have, right? They haven't given up many points.
Dude, they're good.
But guess how many turnovers they have this season?
I don't know. Not a lot?
15.
Wow.
On the whole year, they have 15 turnovers. They're averaging, what, 1 turnover a game or barely over that?
Wow.
It's interesting. So it's like they're not a big turnover team, but they just stop teams. They don't give up points.
That's pretty strange.
I was surprised by that.
I think that you can play the numbers game there, right? Like the regression's going to come back to the mean, right? And they're probably going to have a game with like 3 or 4 turnovers.
They have
Why
to,
can't
right?
They're
obviously a good defense.
After a bad loss, they're pissed off. They're going to New England. They basically have to win all these games now.
They're only 1 game ahead of the Broncos for the division.
I know. I mean, it's like, dude, you guys got to get your shit together, right? So they have to keep winning.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I mean that they're I really like them.
This is an interesting concept, right? Going like Mahomes with the Chiefs defense. Right, you're banking that the Chiefs defense is not going to get defensive touchdowns, but they're going to put Mahomes in a lot of positions to score a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
That's an interesting way. And look, they're both expensive. It's not like people are going to be able to fit all that with Mahomes, Kelsey, and the Chiefs defense.
Right. I mean, you can.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to punt elsewhere.
It's a way to get weird, though.
A lot of people, not everybody is going to go to that. Is kind of what we're getting at. So
exactly, it's a way to get interesting in a large GPP to set yourself aside from the sheep.
Yeah, 100%.
I like it. Okay,
right.
Bold call of the week.
Do you? I'm going to say that Rachaad White is the highest scoring running back this week, and he's going to go for 35 plus.
Wow.
Joey? Oh, did you freeze?
It's pretty intense. I think Kyren Williams is a 3 touchdown week. Wait, what?
Oh, I thought you froze there. No, you're good. Keep going.
Oh, no, I think it's a Kyren Williams 3 touchdown week. Like,
that's fair enough.
Easy.
That's
sign me up. Like on my props plus on my betting app, I'm gonna do a Kyren Williams 3 touchdowns, like plus 7,500 bet for sure. Send it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good call. I don't think it's not like that outrageous of a bet. I mean,
It's
we're
not
doing
too
bold
bold.
calls, and three touchdowns is bold.
Yeah, any hat trick is
But
bold.
I think it's realistic. So, all right,
Well,
guys,
thank you.
that'll do it for this week. Quick, concise show. Make sure you like, rate, review, follow us. Vinny's going to have some more stuff coming out. He's going to do some. He'll have a show out tomorrow for the
Yeah, he's too
3-game
busy. He's
slate.
pulling a Lamar Jackson right now. So he's on the
Yeah, he's
toilet and couldn't make it
dad's
tonight.
dad stuff. Trying to put kids to sleep. We can get it. So, all right, Joe. I'll talk to you later,
All right,
man.
Jim. Safe flight, buddy.
Later.